Dr. Basaliwa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for joining us today, where we are going to be talking about forests as the business of the future. And I'm really excited that we have a speaker that I met yesterday, but who willingly accepted to come and share with us how we can become forest entrepreneurs. For a long time, most people thought that one had to choose between making money and saving the planet. And most people thought that business meant taking from the earth, and becoming sustainable, or sustainability meant losing profit. But today we are going to be sharing about how we can plant forests but also make money. And forests are important because they are now the greatest market opportunity of our time. Most people have discovered that the most successful entrepreneurs are not the ones who deplete resources, but the ones that actually grow them. I know that some of you may have had the conversation around sustainability, around saving the environment while making money at the same time. So this morning, we have Mr. Dickens Sande, who is going to be telling us about how we can make money out of forests while at the same time helping to make a contribution to our environment. Dickens Sande is a forestry specialist with over 25 years experience supporting nature-based enterprises and forestry SMEs. He has led value chain development, enterprise support, and market linkage initiatives across Africa and the Pacific. He has worked with the Food and Agriculture Organization and other institutions which I believe he'll be talking to us about. And he's been working with those institutions to strengthen smallholder systems, value addition, and sustainable forest-based livelihoods. Mr. Sande, I'm very happy that you accepted to come and talk to us. I would like to now open this up to you. You have 40 minutes to make your presentation. And thereafter, we shall have a question and answer session. Thank you again, and over to you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I will maybe take less than 40 minutes, but feel free to ask any question at any time, including if you have a question from outside my presentation, feel free. I'm currently in Uganda, and I'm in what they call a leave or break. But basically, currently, I'm posted in the Pacific. Pacific is an ocean which I think Africans, most of us have not seen. But there are Africans there in the Pacific, the largest ocean in the world, and has a population which is largely black. For those who have never been there. But for those who have been there, you will attest to what I've stated. Thank you. By way of introduction, my name is Dickens Sande. I'm a Salongo, by the way. It's good to know that I'm also a Salongo, and mine are not twins per se, but a boy and a girl. So I know how to lead the two genders very well into prosperity, and my twins are 26 years old now. Thank you. Regarding my professional background, I studied forestry at Makerere University and graduated in 1999. And then I embarked on a master's in 2000, which I completed in 2002 in the University of Stellenbosch in South Africa, Cape Town, if some of you know. And by that time, I was also employed at the same time under the International Center for Research in Agroforestry in partnership with NARO and basically posted under forestry research. I worked in forestry research from actually 99 up to 2007. Basically, at that time, I was posted in the Western region, covering almost all those areas, but working across the country because, research is all-embracing. So I've been able to visit most parts of Uganda. So when you tell me about your village, I should be able to tell you what forestry practices you can do there and which you cannot. Whether northern, as I've said, I've also worked in eastern Uganda, up to Karamoja. Karamoja, I visited every sub-county in Karamoja region. I've been to the remotest part of West Nile, so I know each and every of those areas very well, so I can easily tell you. As she mentioned, I've worked with a series of organizations trying to introduce in most of the organizations, these were like NGOs and then maybe different UN organizations, and then trying to introduce forestry enterprise in those organizations. And I definitely sometimes would work maybe there for 6 months or maybe 1 year, basically to draw the strategy of how people can integrate forestry into enterprise development, community development, and also personal development. Maybe of importance is that I also headed the famous SPGS. I'm sure most of you have heard about SPGS, the Solog Production Grant Scheme. Solog Production Grant Scheme was a project of government of Uganda, and it was about commercial forestry plantations. The goal was to bridge the gap for timber production in Uganda, because we reached a point when most natural forests were almost depleted, and the government came up with a deliberate effort to promote large-scale tree planting across the country. So I headed that program, and we had a lot of success. If you don't know, that is the program where we would pay you for planting trees. You use your money, you plant trees, we come, we inspect, and we give you money, cash, to your bank account. That was a very good, and the trees remain yours, and you can do with them as you please, as long as you follow the rules of Uganda. So there is actually a very good policy on private forests, commercial forests for that matter, supported by government. And when we get time, I'll take you through it again in case some of you get interested. Very good. So I've basically worked also in the different branches of forestry. Maybe some of you know forestry as planting trees. Maybe some of you know forestry as a natural trees where rare, I think most of you have seen. Maybe if you are passing Mabira, that's a natural forest, but which has been degraded. If you go towards Bustema, that forest around the corner, it's a natural forest with a lot of monkeys and baboons. Then along those roads, you can see some natural forests, but we have natural forests which are off the roads. Unfortunately, forestry most times is off the roads, but currently we have a lot of plantations across the country planted along the roads. And sometimes you see the stretch along the road, you don't know what is behind. But sometimes, maybe if I can tell you, we have supported some companies in Uganda which have planted over 10,000 hectares of plantations. And by the time I left SPGS, we were talking of about overall 110,000 hectares. These are not acres, but hectares across the country. And since then, they should have improved on, but I'm not sure now, the status. Okay, let me screen my presentation, and then, yeah, if you have any other question, you will ask me. Feel free. You can put it in the chat, but you can also raise your hand, and I'll be able to respond. Okay, I actually have 3 names on my national ID, and they are presented there. Sometimes in Uganda, names spell where you come from, but my names may not exactly do that, apart from my pronunciation. My pronunciation will definitely tell you that I am from Western Uganda, and in Western Uganda, I'm a Muchiga man from Arkunjiri. So I have my plantation also there in Irkunji, in a hillside. We have hills only in my place. So you are free to come and visit. In that plantation, recently burnt down. Those are the challenges. You will find also other enterprises like beekeeping and so forth. I intend to be the largest beekeeper, if not the whole of Africa, but at least in Uganda. Those are part of what we call nature-based enterprises. Okay, my approach today, I will tell a story. So don't worry about the slides. Sometimes the slides are there for guidance and you can ask any question, but I will also use real examples and Ugandan cases in that matter, although I may refer to the many countries I've worked also. And then I will ask you some 2 to 3 questions at the end. Good. I have a small, somebody's calling me. If you allow me, I can just direct them and then, hello. I'm already presenting her. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Then if I can go on, let me make a presentation bigger and then I can go to the next slide. And in terms of context, I want to say, if you forget everything else, please remember one key message. Forestry is no longer a conservation only. It is a $1 trillion business sector. And I believe most of you already believe and are aware of that. So I do not have to say a lot. But if you look at it, we want to look at why forests matter today. Of course, the topic is business of the future. But for me, I can say business of the business of the current. I know that the majority of the people you see who are called rich in Uganda, apart from you maybe, the richest people in Uganda have actually survived on forests. But currently, the global shift is that there is a green economy, which in recent years has become extremely important for people. And I know that most people talk about it, but they hardly go in it. So this time I'm trying to kind of bring it to everybody's life. And I've put there that equation that forest equivalent climate plus economy and jobs. And later on, maybe in another presentation, I would want to focus on that particular equation and to prove to you that actually forests and forestry are the best job creators in the world, across the world. I'll give you examples of how many people are employed. For instance, let me give you an example. God knows that forests are the backbone of every economy. In the Pacific where I work, the countries there are actually 70% dependent on forests up to today. That's the GDP of the economy is 70% and more. It used to be 100%. By the time they started, those countries are not very old. Most of them are small countries of about 1 million maximum people. In the Pacific, there are about 15 countries now within the ocean. And some of the countries are as big as 2,000 people. Everybody is in government, but then they depend on forestry as their main source of economy support. Uganda used to be like that, but I think things have changed. Now we're about 50 million people. We can no longer depend on forestry entirely, but have now diversified to several other enterprises. Hey, what is a forest-based business? And there I give a number of examples. Some of you know timber, and these days I thank God that some houses can be built without timber, but we are in construction and furniture, and then non-timber products such as honey, herbs. And some of you have been to Zambia area, you have seen those chairs which are made of rattan, and they are commonly used now in tourist areas, restaurants, bars, gardens. You know about that. And then I also introduced you bioenergy, a concept of bioenergy comprising of charcoal and briquettes. It's a booming business. And I believe that most of you are using charcoal in one way or another, and briquettes are coming in to conserve or to introduce efficiency on charcoal usage. And then we have carbon markets, which maybe most of you have heard about but have not seen. We were making fun recently that this carbon in here in Uganda we have that saying where people supply air, and this is the first time when air is being supplied officially. So that slogan is no longer holding since air is being sold in the markets at the same time. Then agroforestry systems, like I've introduced there a number of photos. That's a nursery at its lowest level, and then that is also apiculture on the right-hand side with bees. We have improved on the different types of keeping bees, and I will be showing you some examples. So those are some of the forest-based businesses, and indeed there is a lot more, but those are some of the things we can introduce. Now, why are people now getting interested in forestry? Mainly about climate change. And this climate change has introduced a financing specifically for climate change, and it is increasing globally. Rising demand for sustainable materials. There are things you can never live without them coming from the forest. Carbon credit markets are expanding, and you can benefit from this if we continue this journey together. And you can make substantial money every day. As you know, carbon is based on the oxygen and carbon dioxide which is being converted in trees on daily basis. Because we are many in the world, everybody contributes a little and also benefits a little. If you plant trees, you can plant trees these days virtually. Just send me your money, and then you will see benefits coming into your phone in terms of money again. And then the advantage is that you get that money forever and ever until you go to heaven. And if God is pleased with you in heaven, you will continue receiving benefits. That is if money is allowed in heaven. There is a lot of population growth, and that increases wood and food demand. It's an obvious, most of you are academics here, and you can understand that theory very well, much better than me. What are the opportunities we have? We have wood deficit in Uganda, and therefore there is high demand. That deficit in Uganda, the wood that we are talking about, is increasing. Whether people like it or not, that one will continue to increase. People will still use charcoal, and there is also an energy market gap, therefore created automatically because you can see we have been dependent on gas. Some people have been dependent on gas, but then you will realize soon that gas is dependent on international markets, and the global geopolitics is continuously getting crazy. So when Russia entered into war with Ukraine, there was a deficit of gas in Europe. Things like that will continue to happen. So the area Africa looks at alternatives and invests in its own way of survival, the better. I will not say much more about that. But we also have an opportunity in agroforestry for food and income. Talk of agroforestry, it's a whole concept which has not been fully exploited. And I will say that everywhere I go, they talk of this same concept, but it is still a mystery. So we continue to exploit that. I'm talking about youth employment, and this is one issue that has attracted my mind in recent days, both here in Africa and in the Pacific. I also worked in Central America, in Latin America for that matter, those big countries. And I realized that the issues of forestry are the same world over. A lot of demand for forestry products, a lot of demand for carbon credits, a lot of demand for building materials, a lot of demand for timber. And we need to seriously engage youth in this. Youth is a very dynamic term, and I thank God I'm out of the youth now, but then I have youth in my household. So it seems the concept of youth will always be there, and we cannot forego it. I hope in the incubation process you have youth specifically targeted, because as I'll be sharing with you, currently I am heavily involved in formation of a national cooperative society, multipurpose in nature. This is not a circle. I realized early on during the cooperative movement before the current government, we had the cooperative unions which were free to trade and do business on properties. But the current move has focused on circles, which is only a small portion of a cooperative. And after many lessons learned over the years, I have come up with a new opportunity of a multipurpose cooperative society, which I'm promoting across the country and integrating all this, developing a robust digital platform for cooperatives, and looking at sustaining activities and lessons learned over a perpetual period of time. I will discuss about that. I have listed here what I've called top forestry enterprises, and top on the list is tree nurseries. Some of you think nurseries are those things you see along the roadside. That's very good. But I can also tell you that we have a lot of commercial nurseries. And in my role as the accounting officer for the sorghum production grant scheme, my role was to certify and standardize nurseries across the country. So we have an annual audit of nurseries. but we do not audit those nurseries by the roadside. So those roadside nurseries are informal, majority of them. We tried to certify them, but the standards they couldn't meet. We had very stringent standards, and this is what I want to promote through the multipurpose cooperative. Because I worked with NBS and I tried to bring in all other relevant authorities in the country, and I realized that they are not following the standards because one, limitation in funding, and then also the concept of standardization has not been our major focus in Uganda. And I believe in the incubation center, you are bringing in the issue apart from mentoring and technical support to people who attend the center. You bring in the issue of perpetual certification. Certification means you learn how to do something correctly, rightly, and sustainably. And then that process is continually audited and certified. We introduced that and then we handed it over to UN, and UN has been also supporting it, but they are dependent on funding, and all funding of donor is sometimes becoming low. So I've written a whole system of certifying different enterprises, and I've also submitted a proposal to MasterCard on certifying youth enterprises across the country. And when you are certified and you enter our database, we enroll you on our digital platform for the cooperative across the country, so that we can certify you to produce quality and quantity products across the globe. I mean, across the board. And then we can have those certified products on the market. We also partner with the Nogamo to ensure that the products are organic. So there's a lot of initiatives which we need to come close together. Then there's what we call woodlots. I would define the differences between woodlots and commercial plantations, but let me talk about the scale. That woodlots, we used to define it as anything between 5 hectares to 15 hectares of tree plantations. Then commercial plantations are from 15 to infinity, 15 hectares to infinity. And there are also standards in there, and I can provide them. Please, when you plant trees, don't just plant and forget. I did that when I was a young boy, and I planted a eucalyptus under a natural forest, and it outgrew all the trees, and then quickly, and then it was only one, and then I don't remember what happened to it. I will say more about the goals of commercial plantations and why we certify plantations and why we certify nurseries. So that's called the forestry value chain certification. We do that, and we've been using donor funds, but as you have heard, my effort now is to use individual funds, where we come together like 100,000 of us, we put together money. If each one can bring maybe $10 or $100, we put that money together and we agree on the way to use it. First of all, maybe carbon credits and maybe other enterprises that ensure perpetual money raising. And then we have charcoal and briquettes. It's a serious business these days. And then we have beekeeping. I will not say a lot. There are photos there that show some improved methods of beekeeping. I have a similar one like that in my village, not here in Kampala, but down in Irkunjiri. You can visit. I bring experts of bees from all over the place, and we gather in the village, we learn. And it was my first time to know that bees actually get eaten by insects. So surprising. And then we have fruit trees, and I have a lot of information to share on fruit trees. Please If you think of this, get in touch. My contact is there. Or maybe I'll be part of the center. You never know. I'm thinking of coming back home after this time I've spent overseas, and I would want to push this into practical terms. The timber processing, of course. We've only been doing timber conversion in Uganda and then sometimes exporting it, but there is a lot of timber processing happening in Uganda, and that as a result of the commercial plantations which we planted between 2004 and 2015 mainly, and thereafter also we have been still supporting private sector to invest in private forests of large scale. Again, I have brought here a business model value chain based on value chain where we start from seed to nursery, then woodlot or commercial plantation, then we produce timber or any other product, and then you are thinking directly to the market. Let me tell you, please don't engage in forestry for what do they call it? Just because you want, yeah, maybe you can do actually. For obvious reasons, you want a small plantation in your compound and you can sit under the trees. Like in my compound here, I have one tree and it helps me sit under it when the sun is too much. I have my hammock, I hang on the tree and, like be a young boy swinging up and down. It gives you pleasure. But then, most times in forestry, we think about the market. Low capital. And if you are to use low capital in forestry, actually, I can give you all the estimates. When we have time, the detailed how much money you can spend for different species, for different enterprises. All these costs are there available for you to see. But then, why we came up with the multipurpose cooperative society that is focused on nature-based enterprise investments is because we realize that small capital also sometimes leads to small gains. But if we are many and we put capital, low capital together, we end up having a large capital and we can scale and we can meet the high demand that is in the market for these products and services. That's an example in in those two photos. Maybe I didn't mention earlier. These are like a herbal. On the left is a herbal nursery of indigenous trees. That photo I took it in Mbale. And then on the right is again improved the apiary or maybe beekeeping as it is well known. As you realize, my intention is to show you that within one forest plantation, you can have several enterprises. You can have hubs there, you can have timber there, you can have firewood, you can have shared environmental benefits, you can have carbon credits within that. So you can benefit in multiple ways, and that's why we're saying multi-purpose approach. And here, I'm talking about the innovations that we have done in forestry. Some of these plantations, you see them, if you agree, one of these days I would want to take you through a drive in a real actual large scale plantation, which we supported directly. And you can have a feel of what it means and how much money people can have in this country without your knowledge. And I tell you, it doesn't take a lot of wisdom and knowledge. In about 2012, I met a man who used to be a pit sower. Pit sower are people who enter the forest illegally with those long saws. And then they cut a tree quietly, they convert it to timber using that saw, and then they go and sell on the market. And that man made all his life, he stopped in senior four, and but he used to be a pit sower until government formed NFA, which removed those people from the forests. and the guy was now stuck because that was all he could do. Currently, he is one of the richest men in Uganda. He owns over 2,000 hectares of plantation, and he is now old, and he's benefiting from what he planted between those years, 2012 and until now. He's harvesting and sending, and he has set up. Actually, the story he told me was that he had bought a hotel, and then when we encouraged him to do his personal private plantation, he sold that hotel. Now he bought it back, and he bought a much larger area in here in Indeba, and he's currently providing timber, creating his own market. He has brought machines that he's just a senior full lever. So I would want all of us, actually, recently he told me he has created a trust where he has put well-educated people to manage his estate, and he pays them. So why don't we go towards that and maybe do it better, especially that we are educated? That's my question. So some of the things that we have introduced are digital platforms for market access, but also for coordination. People who are engaged in nature-based services, we enroll you on our digital platform. You can register where you are. Currently, the platform is being upgraded. You can join. Then, but also would want to partner with the incubation centers so that we can follow up for your youth who are being employed. We are negotiating a scheme where we invest for people. You can bring your $100 and invest with us. If you're a student entering university, we target that we invest for you. I have done this for my sons, and I believe that they will do. Of course, the money I invested for them, once it comes out, it will be more than that. So it is not like I'll give it to them if I'm still alive. But if I'm not alive and they get the money, they will take it, all of it. But my target was that my children will get at least each one, when they are ready to leave my house, each one will live with approximately $20,000. If he goes and eats it with girls on the streets and enjoys, that's okay. He has chosen that. But for me, I would have given him 20,000. As you know, for us, Machiga, we don't have land. So the only thing we can give our children is money. And if they go and eat it, they will enjoy. No problem. So we have also introduced AI now in our systems for managing, planning, and GIS as well, for land planning and managing our technologies. Of course, for carbon tracking technologies also, we have introduced AI. On my team within the cooperative society, I have experts in AI, I have experts in GIS, and so we track carbon and then we can account for it. So when you register with us and bring your money, you'll be benefiting from that every day. You can see some money dropping on your account. Little money, maybe $1, maybe $2 a day, something like that. Depending on how much money you put in, it's a percentage of that. I will share more about that and the details that follow it. But as I've said, for investment, to ensure that when a kid joins university in first year, by third year, he comes out with at least either 10,000 or 20,000, depending on how much they invest. That one is like an offshore investment, which we are trying to capitalize on and make sure that we are having capital. Because one of the challenges of Ugandan people is that we lack capital. And as a multipurpose cooperative society, we are thinking hard about that. And I'm sure that some of the people from the incubation centers face the same, that after incubation, some people struggle like us for many years looking for capital, and it's a challenge. So we looking at how can we tackle that.
Hello, Mr. Sande. This is Dr. Edith, your host. I propose that you finalize in the next 3 minutes.
Good. I think I do not have a lot more strategic approach. We have high demand products, integrate value chains, And as said, we are using a cooperative financing. We focus on sustainability towards success. It was actually the end of my presentation, and questions and discussion for information. But I have a few questions, but you don't have to answer. One is, how many of us have access to land? And how many of us are members of a certain cooperative society? And how are you pushing beyond training and beyond incubation so that we have real action taking place? Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing from you all. God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you so much, Mr. Sande, and thank you for accepting to come and make this presentation. It's a great presentation. We have benefited a lot from your presentation. Thank you for finding time in your busy schedule to come and talk to us about this very important topic of forests, the business of the future. We appreciate you. You've taken us through the why forests now. You've given us a lot of history and very interesting stories. You've taken us through the forest-based business. You've taken us through the opportunities. You've told us about the top forest enterprises, the business model, which is very interesting, the innovation in the forest, in forestry, and the strategic approaches. We appreciate you. Thank you very much for the wise idea, great ideas that you have shared with us. I know people logged on here have questions to ask. So I would like to invite Mr. Ojok Joseph Caesar to guide the Q&A.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Please confirm you're able to hear me.
Yes, I'm able to hear you loud and clear.
Yes, let me start by appreciating our presenter for the day for the wonderful insights in the area of forestry, and personally I've really picked interest. Dear our attendees of the day, it's about that time that you get to interact with our presenter of the day, and we get to do this in 3 different ways. One, you can raise up your electronic hand, and then we get to give you the opportunity to speak to our presenter, but also you can use the chat and type in your question right there, and we'll be able to read it to the presenter, but also you can use the Q&A session and post it your question right there, and you'll be able to get feedback from our presenter. So those are the 3 different ways that you can talk to our presenter and maybe also respond to some of his concerns. Straight away, right from the chat, let me start by, first of all, this is from Skills Africa Uganda, saying thank you for the insightful presentation. My name is Grant Zabarinda, and I am a product of Mobs Entrepreneurship Center from incubation to now the director of Tuza Industries Limited. In Uganda's context, how are carbon markets in forestry projects valued, and what key factors determine their financial worth? Also, for someone who wants to invest in forestry remotely without being physically present, what minimum expected return on investment can one realistically anticipate? That is from Grant. And then also from Madame Sheila is here saying, thanks for the presentation. We have learned many new ideas. Mine is only a clarification on selling air. Please elaborate more. Okay, I think we can start with those 2 since we're also behind time and others come on. Let me maybe read this, Mr. Sande, before you respond. This is from Eddie, who says, how can one join Ladder Circle? Any leads? Thank you for the presentation. I think you can start straight away with those, as maybe we get the next phase after. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, maximum returns, if I got that correct, that depends actually. Currently, the model we are using is we are raising capital so what we do, we actually identify land, large scale in one piece. And then we raise capital, but raising capital takes time. And so we have what we call advance payments. So we can pay you even before the actual credits are being accumulated. That is a term which is allowed legally under the UN Convention. If you have heard of the Paris Agreement and Article 6 and all this, that's again a detailed discussion we would need to go. But under there, we have what we call advance payment. So when somebody invests his money, let's say you have brought your $1,000, you have brought your $10,000, you do not want to wait for the next 20 years before you get any returns. So we have what we call advance payments. Advance payments is money you get according to schedule, but when we realize the actual credits from the market, from the global market, then we actually offset what is already paid to you, and then we also start paying you when the actual credits have been verified and taken up. Now, in terms of the carbon markets, most prevalent currently have been what we call voluntary markets. So voluntary markets is where you're not regulated, you're not, there's no enforcement, but currently people are shifting from voluntary carbon markets to regulated carbon markets. And Uganda has already done it to a great deal. The policies and acts on carbon and the guidelines and the procedures that are legally guiding the Ugandan market. Largely, really the same that has been done globally, and that one now we have to follow. I have, as I've said, I've been abroad for some time. I'll need to check exactly whether that has been approved by cabinet or not. But by the time I left, we had discussed most of it. About selling air, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Carbon credits. So if you have carbon credits, it's not a substantial product that is tangible. It is air, it is virtual, and that's what we are saying. So what we're talking about is oxygen. So you can supply oxygen to the world, and you get paid for it. So let's again, a deep discussion which we can engage in at different stages, and I can bring in more experts maybe to support me if that discussion people are involved. Then somebody is asking about joining the cooperative. We actually are currently happy to recruit you. I can share with you a link. You join and then you automatically pay online. Sorry, currently we're integrating a new payment system online, so it may not be likely to pay, but you can actually pay later. So I can send you a link and you join online. And then we also hold meetings like this regularly, mostly Saturday from 10 a.m. up to midday. And we discuss all factors and train people, guide people, and then take action. Okay, I hope I've answered most of those. So if another question, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Sande, for the response. I think you've responded to all of them. Probably maybe the last one I will take is somebody is asking, I think you've talked about this, how you integrate AI into the forestry. I think you've talked about this, but you can maybe give a little clarity, and then we close it up from there. Thank you.
Okay. The issue of, as you realize, if you're dealing with a long-term business like forestry, those are some of the challenges. We have what called rotation periods or gestation periods for that matter, return on investments and all this. So AI is basically to say, how do we manage business in a smart manner? Smart management of businesses. So our currently, as I've mentioned, we were blessed that we managed to have a member of the cooperative who is an expert on AI, and we are trying to say how do we use AI, for instance, to effectively manage the payments on carbon credits to ensure that people can comfortably feel comfortable having their money invested in a plantation, which you can visit, by the way. So like every every other year or maybe every other period when we feel the members' demand, we visit plantations so that you see where your money is. And when you get maybe $10, you get a concept exactly of what is happening. We visited coffee plantations. They also contribute to carbon. We visited the forest plantations across the country, different places. People come and see what exactly is happening in a forest plantation and the management, the costs and all this. And basically, so all this need to be put, as you have you listened, we are using digital platforms. Digital platform means that almost businesses are conducted there. You have an account which you monitor whether you are getting money and whether you can borrow money. Also, we do, of course, circles in there. So there is a lot that we can talk about, but as our time is gone, it is already 8 a.m. And Joseph, you can take over again.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Dickens, for answering all our questions. Maybe to our attendees, for those that still maybe have some concerns, there is a WhatsApp link that has been posted where you can join our entire platform, and probably some things that were not clear to you can actually be, clarified in that platform. Thank you for, listening, and let me hand you back over to the host of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph Ojok Caesar, for managing the Q&A. And allow me again to appreciate you, Mr. Sande, for being able to respond to the different comments and questions that have been raised by the participants. We appreciate you for allowing us to have further interaction with you, where we've again learned more, especially after posing questions. We also appreciate the questions that you've left with us, because they are ringing in our minds and are going to help us open new ideas in different lines of businesses. Thank you very much. Allow me, on behalf of Makerere University Business School and on behalf of Makerere University Business School Entrepreneurship Innovation and Incubation Center, to appreciate you. Thank you for finding time to come and share with us. From the director, I learned that it was at short notice, but you've really been able to give us a great exposure to how or the different enterprises that we can start in the area of forestry. Thank you very much. And from your presentation, we can see that we'll continue interacting further because there are many potential areas where we will need support again from one expert like you in the area of forestry. So soon again, we'll be inviting you to come and discuss more other details, especially in this line of specialization. We appreciate you very much. Thank you. Thank you a lot. You've really excited our passion in the area of forestry. Now we know that a lot can be done in this area, and there's a lot of potential. Thank you so much. We appreciate. I would like to thank all the participants who logged on this morning. Thank you so much for finding time in your business schedule to start your Thursdays with us. Please remember again to log on next week, next Thursday, same time. Allow me also to appreciate Mr. Ogutu Philemon, who is our sign language interpreter on the other side. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining this morning. And I would like to end it here. Have a blessed Thursday. Bye-bye for now.